Hello and welcome once again to Line Noise. We are at the Primavera Sound Festival, and welcome to Welsh electronic music sensation and we think the nicest person in dance music, Lee Owens. How are you doing?
Thank you. Hi, really good now. Thank you, guys.
We are honoured. I've been looking forward to this interview since we knew it was confirmed. I'm looking forward to your performance tonight. What expectations do you have of Primavera Sound?
Well, I played a few years ago now, and honestly, genuinely one of my favourite festivals to play. There's nothing like it. I mean, this city is incredible. There's so much culture. It just breeds artists. So it's like to come and be, near the ocean. I spend a lot of time writing near water, and I have done. And so to perform, I think I'm actually looking out towards the sea this evening when I perform. So yeah, quite iconic.
Is that a deal breaker for you? Do you need to be surrounded by good natural landscapes when you're in a creative phase?
It does help, because I think coming from Wales, it's been something that's just been inherent, and I've been very lucky, and you don't realise how lucky you are until you actually leave. So living in London, I need to escape often, and so yeah, it's been incredible to create. I use a lot of the time Daniel Avery's studio right next to the River Thames, and recently been in Somerset, so yeah, great.
We were talking about Dream State, your fourth album, and it has been described as the sound of a person letting loose and letting go while encouraging everyone else to do the same. Are you good at letting go and letting loose?
I'm getting better at it, I would say. It's something that in the past I definitely was not good at. It's kind of that Welsh, melancholic stuff, we love to hold on to something and make it into a poem, But yeah, I feel like as you get older, you have less capacity on wait, that sounds odd, but in so many levels, just like, you don't have the energy to sort of put up with certain things. And I think letting go and having that renewal so consistently has been just a beautiful phase of my life to walk into, so yeah.
And presumably at your concerts is a time a lot of people letting go and kind of feel it. How do you encourage that?
Well, as you'll see tonight, I really let so loose on stage. It's it's quite meditative for me in the sense that I'm absolutely present, and people see me letting go, and it somehow gives them this silent permission to be themselves, to move their body, and to just reach their own sort of sense of euphoria, or, crying in the club, whatever it is you want to do.
Well, I have to ask, because what was it, 2 years ago when Depeche Mode was headlining Primavera? Or was it last year?
Oh, I don't know.
2 years ago. 2 years ago. Because my wife was pregnant. No, she'd just given birth. So that was 2 years ago. How did touring with Depeche Mode, opening up for them in these massive stadium shows, change the way you decided to direct your performances?
It's a great question, because I think naturally after performing I think the minimum was 20,000 and the maximum I performed in front of was around 70, and it was 70,000 times 3 in 1 week in Mexico City. And ultimately it inspired me to write a lot of the Dream State stuff being quite anthemic. It was about filling up space in a way that I never had, personally, sonically. Even my voice, the range of my voice has expanded, and the chest voice has literally opened up from playing with those shows. And I'm lucky that I can now call them friends and mentors. And so it's just been such a nourishing part of my life, really.
Well, did you and Martin ever try and sort of have some writing sessions together? Because he's quite hands-on and he likes to keep creating, no?
He loves synths. I think he has walls and walls of modular racks. And so he has said, next time I'm around, we should hang out. And yeah, so but I always send him geeky pictures. Do you know what this drum machine is? And there's one time he didn't, and I felt really smug.
You showed something to Martin. Speaking of the vocals, we all coincide that Dream State is an album where your vocal presence has grown. Even though as a child you sang in choirs, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's like national service in Wales, to be honest with you. You go into, a choir whether you can sing or not. They eventually filter you out, but it's definitely part of the sort of Welsh process, yeah. No, and I think that therefore it means that you can express yourself from quite a young age, and whatever it is you're emotionally trying to process. I think the voices and singing, I understand, is one of the most cathartic things you can do somatically, so.
Vague memories come to me. Did you used to write poetry as well, as you mentioned it earlier? I swear.
Yeah, guilty as charged. No, I just had access to lots of space and nature, and I've always carried sort of notepads on me, and I wouldn't call all of them poems. Some of them are just words. But yeah, I would write down how I felt. And I've got, for each album, I have like one A4 size notepad. And in between, there could be 3, 4, 5, 7, depending on what I'm sort of like downloading in terms of my feelings in between. So.
Because I feel that what you're doing with your vocal expression is you're moving closer towards, between commas, pop stardom rather than avant-garde electronic swear, where you're cozy, where you're cozily existing. You have all this respect from all the enthusiasts and the press and everything. But are you sort of more interested in the self-expression that is afforded for pop stars?
I think that growing up in the 90s, that was a huge influence on me as a child. So it's something that's inherently there. And I definitely on Dream State wanted to be more, let's call it pop facing ultimately. But the thing about being, I guess, Kelly as the artist is that I never know what's going to come next. And usually I steer away from what's come before. LP8 was kind of noise and sort of like Throbbing Gristle, Enya-esque, and then I went to a pop-facing thing, so the next thing will definitely be different. Doesn't mean I don't have the pop sensibilities, in me, but yeah, it's interesting. I like to keep people on their toes.
Dream state. What is dream state? Is it just the state you're in when you're in a dream, or does it have a sort of wider meaning?
Okay, so as I see it, it's a great question. For me, daydreaming is what I'm referring to. So like daydreaming,
right.
Like let's be honest, night dreaming can be exhausting. You know what I mean? You're processing a lot in your subconscious. Daydreaming is passive. And when do we have the time and space? When do we create it? We're bombarded with technology and all these other things. And it's like about remembering to be in the dream state. And I did get a Daydreamer of the Year award in high school when I was 15, plus Music Lover of the Year. And I actually felt proud of that. I was like, wow, they really understand me. They were trying to mock me. And this is the thing. Why? I think maybe in a capitalist society, like being a daydreamer doesn't really afford you much. But actually, for me, it's been the opposite. It's been completely enriching and, yeah, one of my favorite things to do.
The last time we talked many years ago. I think you mentioned that you wanted to become a death doula. Did that happen?
I mean, if you look at how I'm dressed right now, you might think that, yes, that has already happened. Not yet. No, I feel like it's something I will possibly do when I'm a lot older and I've sort of done the album stuff. But I think it's very powerful, like that transition, life, death. And people go for like the midwifery, the birthing, and like that's one thing. But actually, like the other certainty is death. And I'm never afraid to talk about it, as you're probably aware.
Well, because you had experience working as a nurse in a cancer ward, right? Right at the same time when you were deciding to really dive into a professional music career. How did that experience, seeing, people out there in the most, cancer ward, I don't need to explain, in that kind of situations, motivate you to make something great out of your life?
I mean, nothing motivates you to live more than seeing people come to the end of their lives. I was only 18, 19, but I felt it was a gift to be able to see that actually you're not going to live forever, because around 18 you kind of think maybe you will, but it was this beautiful healthy dose and reminder that actually it's not forever. And so a lot of the regrets people had were of the things they didn't do and didn't say, not the things they did do and mess up or did say and mess up. And so I was like, what's the one thing I would regret if I didn't at least try? And it was always making my own music. So
have you ever thought about the music you would like to listen to on your deathbed? Because I mean, the reason I ask is people think a lot about like, when I get married, I'm going to put on that song, and when I'm really happy, I'm going to put on that song or whatever. Or this is my anthem, but it's not something I've ever really thought about, and it could be like, incredibly impactful.
That's a great question, and I actually haven't thought about that, ironically, myself. But I would say currently, with something I'm aware of, it would be some form of John Hopkins psychedelic therapy, I imagine. But maybe also I'll just create the music. Now you've inspired me to think about that.
Leaving instructions and play this, tape or whatever.
Yeah, because it sent like the scent, the sound, like it all. I believe I'm really going in deep here, but I think you can have a good death. But while we're here and while we're alive, we should probably just celebrate and dance and have fun. And I think tonight will be that.
Yeah, more than ever now. We're all being, as you said, bombarded with distressful images of what's happening in the world and stuff. And it's a great time to come to a festival and be happy and get cathartic like I expect to be at your show. You mentioned John Hopkins. Let's talk about some of the people you've worked with on Dream State. Tom Rowlands from Chemical Brothers. I mean, was that a massive influence when you were like a teenager? Did you ever go to a rave or a club where Chemical Brothers were at their peak?
I feel honestly like, especially in the 90s, you couldn't avoid them in the best way.
Yeah.
They were just such a household name. But what I loved about them was this air of mystery that they had. It was absolutely about the music, and I think that's quite hard to achieve these days. So for me, I mean, I still, every time someone brings it up, it's always like, oh my God, yeah. And honestly, he's one of the nicest people and so encouraging, and also half Welsh. So.
And John Cale?
And John Cale.
100% Welsh.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, even your family must have been like, damn it.
John Cale.
How did that happen? Was it just because, you're both Welsh and you were in one of those Welsh culture gatherings where some commissioner...
That would be amazing. Just both at the Eisteddfod, No, so he keeps an eye on up-and-coming talent, and I think especially up-and-coming Welsh talent. He's genuinely interested in that. And we actually met because he invited me to sing on a track of his, which never came out, but one day it was just, can you come to the studio and sing with John Cale? And I always record vocals by myself, right? So you can imagine the only time I've ever performed, a vocal in front of someone is John Cale, and it was this giant room, and he's just like there, like staring through the glass, and I start singing, and he starts just getting up and going like this, and I was like, oh my God, I stopped because I was like, is everything okay? And he was like, yes, keep going. And he's so involved in the production still. He's a producer. He's an artist and a producer, and it was a pleasure. And I remember hitting a high note that at the time I'd never reached, and it was that old school magic of someone just pushing you to a place that you didn't know you could go.
Wow. It doesn't happen every day. It's not easy. You need the right trust, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, he has that something. So,
was there one thing, the most important thing you learned from that experience
with John Cale?
Yeah,
just that I probably should put myself in a room with other people when recording vocals, because, and I recently met Flood, who's obviously a great producer. I went to his studio, he texted me on his Nokia phone, inviting me. And he said, some of the greatest vocal performances I've ever got are sat with Dave Gahan or like Polly, like PJ Harvey. And they're there with like a SM58 sometimes, but I'm sat there and they're performing to me, and there's something else that's connected. So between John Cale and Flood, I'm having all this incredible advice, and I'm trying to take it, and it does make a difference.
Kelly, tonight you're performing with alongside Tali XCX. You're on the same evening. Is she a mate? Because you played at her Boiler Room takeover in Glastonbury, right?
Yeah, we are friends, and I work with her sometimes. I work with George, who's DH2, the label that I'm signed to. It's sweet. It's a family energy, and obviously she's had the best year and is so deserved. And I'm just excited to see the show tonight.
Because I was going to ask, I mean, when you finish performing, do you stick around, and is there anything else that you'd like to see if you've checked out the lineup?
I'm not going anywhere. This is what I mean. This is one of the best festivals. And my other friend John Talabar is one of the best DJs. I actually come, to Barcelona to hang out with him. And this place is just the best. And so I'm gonna go see Uri later. Yeah.
Did you go last night to the young party?
No, because I was also DJing. But what was interesting was we both went to the same place separately for dinner, and it's that kind of place you can just bump into people.
Which
and
one was it, if I may ask? I love that kind of.
Oh my God! Wait.
Was it Bar Brutal?
No, it was the other bar.
Was it a natural wine
Super?
bar? Super! You went to Super
I did.
last night.
It was Super. It
Shout out
delicious.
Columbus.
Johann, I'm afraid we have to end.
Yeah, we were about to start talking about restaurants and natural wine bars.
I know.
A topic of conversation.
But thank you so much for coming. We're going to be there in force and letting go.
I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Entering the Dream State, which was released in 2024. I've checked my notes. Yes, get with it, Johann. Thank you, Kelly Lee Owens, everybody. Our last interview of the day.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. Let's have fun.
Estás escuchando Radio Primavera Sound, proudly presented by Cupra.